Hey there, gluten-free friends. Welcome to the Gluten-Free Lifestyle Summit. We are so excited that you are here so that you are ready to take your gluten-free life to the next level, right? We are getting out of overwhelm, getting out of deprivation, getting out of being being tired and sick, right? And we are creating a sustainable gluten-free life that is delicious, right? We all deserve that. So we are here all month long helping you create a gluten-free life you love. If we have not met, I am Jennifer Marks, your host of the Gluten-Free Summit and your gluten-free health coach, here to help you create a gluten-free life that works for you. Because at the end of the day, you need to wake up and go through your day seamlessly living gluten-free without all that overwhelm, without feeling deprived, and just living your best life. And that's what we're all about here. So I hope that you've had a chance to go through and go watch all of the amazing interviews we've had all month long. There are so many wonderful golden nuggets shared in each one of these interviews that's going to help you move your gluten-free life forward. So if you've missed any, go right up. If you're in our gluten-free Empowering Gluten-Free Women Facebook group, go to the top, at the very top bar of the group, there is a guide. Click on guides and it's guide number 1, and you will find all of the interviews there, which you can watch throughout the rest of the month. And each expert has shared an amazing free gift with you. So please grab those gifts and take the information and incorporate it into your gluten-free life. It's going to help you find a healthier path forward, and it's going to help you create a better gluten-free lifestyle for yourself and your family. So make sure you grab those. The thing about the gifts is that the gifts go away on May 31st. So if you haven't gotten those yet, go ahead and get them. They are all available now that my talk is live. Every talk has been out, so you can grab those gifts. All right, so let's dive in. Today, I am here to talk with you all about 5 steps to create a gluten-free life you love, right? So we have to have certain things in place in order to have a gluten-free life that's going to work, that will help us move forward and gather our health instead of feeling sick and depleted every day, right? Now, the very first thing we have to understand when we have a gluten-free life is what is gluten, right? And that is your first step, my friends. What is gluten? I have so many people that come to me and they say, well, I took wheat out and I still don't feel well. Well, gluten is not just wheat, okay? If something says wheat-free on the box, that does not mean it's gluten-free. Gluten is wheat, rye, and barley. So those are your main things you're looking for. If you're reading a label and you see anything with wheat, rye, or barley in it, that is not gluten-free, okay? So that's your main thing. And you want to understand what other grains do we need to keep away from? What is safe for us to eat? And reading labels and understanding that. Find that certified gluten-free label if you're choosing processed foods or anything in a box or a bag. Find the label so you know that you're choosing a safe, healthy ingredient for yourself, although they're not all healthy, but it is a safe ingredient for gluten-free living if it has the certified gluten-free stamp, okay? You also want to know that, like I just said, wheat-free does not mean gluten-free. Organic does not mean gluten-free. It just means that these things were made or grown without pesticides and herbicides. Non-GMO does not mean gluten-free. It means it's a non-genetically modified plant or vegetable that you are purchasing, right? That does not equal gluten-free. And all natural does not equal gluten-free either. That term is kind of a big carpet over big blanket over so many things. People think, oh, it's all natural, it's good for me, but that's not always the case. So that's kind of misleading. So watch your labels, know what you're looking for. Finding out how to read labels is a really important thing. It's something that I teach in my programs and working with you or your family one-on-one. And we dive into that and really understand how to find the best gluten-free foods for you. Okay, so knowing what is gluten is your very first step. And we already know, if you're here in the group, if you're following, you're gluten-free for a reason, right? So what is that reason? Do you have celiac disease? Are you gluten intolerant? Are you following a gluten-free lifestyle because you have another autoimmune disease. Like, all of this is very important to have, whether you have any of that, whatever your why is to live gluten-free, you need to get your gluten-free life in order and make sure that what you're eating, everything you're consuming, putting in your mouth, even on your body to watch out for, is gluten-free, so you can go forward in a healthy manner. Okay. So number two, what to have in place, how do you create that gluten-free life that's going to work for you, that you're going to love, is first testing, right? Why are you, again, goes back to why are you gluten-free? So many people come to me and say, oh, I went gluten-free, I feel fabulous. And we'll talk about, well, why are you gluten-free? What was happening? And they didn't test before they went gluten-free. So what happens with this is, if you do not test first, your testing will not come out correctly. Okay, so if you've been gluten-free and then the doctor runs your celiac panel tests, it's not going to show that you have celiac because you've been gluten-free. You have to be consuming gluten for these tests to work. And I don't know about you, but once I went gluten-free, there was no way I was eating gluten again, because I felt so much better. So once you're feeling better, you don't want to go back and eat gluten again. So have your tests. If you need to be tested, take care of that before you are fully gluten-free. This happened with my youngest son. So my third guy came into our family. He was born into it, really, because we were all living gluten-free for many years at that point. And the doctor said, just keep him gluten-free as an infant. Everything I was eating and consuming was all gluten-free. So I breastfed my baby. So I just kept everything the way I had been living. And when he turned 18 months, the doctor said, all right, let's go ahead and test him. Well, he had been eating gluten-free his whole life. So we had to feed him gluten. And it was like a switch turned, right? He was a great sleeper, wasn't sleeping. His behavior was really good, happy-go-lucky, fun kid. No more, no. Mischievous, not behaving, not listening, acting out tremendously. His belly was bloated, he was gassy or constipated, all kinds of issues. I mean, it was like a whole new child. And I was going to need to feed my son gluten for many weeks for him to be tested and to have any kind of results that the doctor was looking for. And talked to the doctor, she goes, no, take him off of gluten. So we'll never really know if he has celiac disease, because those tests are never going to come out for him, right? I mean, we can do the genetic test. That's one way to see, but you can have the gene and not have celiac. So that's something that's on or off. So, I mean, that's a whole different conversation, but thinking about that, you need to be eating gluten for your test to come out. So think about your why. Why do you need to know if you have celiac, or is it gluten intolerance, or why you're going gluten-free? Okay, so testing first before you're gluten-free. And if you're already gluten-free and you haven't tested, don't beat yourself up. Talk to your doctor and see what you need to do and put steps in place to move forward. How it best works for you. Okay, that's the best we can do. So knowing what is gluten and why you're gluten-free and your testing, that needs to be done at the beginning. So the next thing to have in place is real whole foods. Okay, we can go to the store and go to that gluten-free aisle. And yes, it has come along tremendously. There are more options, there are better options, there are healthier options, much healthier options than there were over 12 years ago when I started this journey. And that aisle was awful. The food in it was awful. The preservatives and additives in all of the gluten-free foods, not something you really wanted to eat. So think about that and head over to the real food section, right? Your produce section, your fresh meat section, and concentrate on adding in or having more fruits and vegetables, eggs, fresh meats. That's nothing added to those meats. You can add your sauces, gluten-free, of course, and spices, gluten-free, of course, onto them to make wonderful, delicious meals. So using more of a whole foods base, adding in some of those processed foods, it's okay. I still go to that processed food aisle. We just don't stay there all the time. Okay, so more whole foods, because as you realize that gluten is the thing that stood up and said, hey, stop, because your body is not working with this. And your health is going downhill because of gluten. So you're changing your diet to improve your health. And then as you learn how to move forward, you're learning about healthier grains to add in, healthier foods to add in. I mean, our eyes were opened to vegetables I had never heard about, and quinoa and grains we had never eaten before. So these are all healthier versions. So you're adding health to your plate. So this is all good, my friends, because you're creating a healthier lifestyle as you move forward. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you continuously add new foods and healthier foods onto your plate each night, and you're mindful about that, then you can start to change your plate, to change your health, to change your life as you move forward. So it's really important to understand what you're eating. Okay, and take all those whole foods and just make simple meals to help you easily get in the kitchen and create meals and snacks that you can eat continuously, right? So we have our favorite meals, right? And make those. Get yourself out of overwhelm by finding some of your favorite meals, add in some healthy dishes to that, and you're on your way, okay? So your next thing you want to think about is support. And first and foremost, I'm so glad that you are here looking for that support. I am absolutely here to support you. I did not have the right support that I needed when I started my journey. No one around me knew what the heck I was talking about, and it was overwhelming. So that is why I'm here. That is why we started Gluten-Free Marks the Spot, because we wanted to be the support for you. There's so much. I mean, when I started, not much was out there. Now there's so much information. It's too much because there's a lot of misinformation. So you need to watch where you are, okay, where you're gathering your information. But moving forward, having support of your family, of your friends, finding support groups in your community here. You're either with me on Facebook or Instagram. Following along for these great tips and strategies and getting yourself set up for success. It's really important that you have that support. And I give this to my clients working one-on-one or in our group program. So if you're interested in that, let me know. I will show all of you how to get that support and accountability that you need to really get your gluten-free life in order, okay? And last but not least, you want to live in no deprivation, right? Gluten-free is not a diet. It is a lifestyle. And we really have to get that idea in our head and understand it and accept it. Because the longer we look at, you know, you're diagnosed, what's that first thought? Oh, there's nothing left to eat, right? And you dive into this deprivation. And we all feel it. I stayed there way too long, boo-hooing about being deprived. Until I realized that, oh, wait a minute, I can have chocolate. I was such a chocoholic way back when I started my gluten-free journey. And when I thought I couldn't have chocolate anymore because there's gluten in chocolate and dairy in chocolate, and I couldn't have dairy anymore. But how am I going to do this? That is terrible, right? And we get stuck there. But pull yourself out of that by finding your favorite food in a gluten-free form. Because when you do that and you see that you're not actually giving everything up, that can kind of help you get over that hump and move forward and create a life that works, a gluten-free life that works, okay? So gluten-free does not have to be about deprivation. We so were deprived at our first few holidays. I just remember sitting there boo-hooing because I couldn't eat anything that my parents had made, that I grew up with. I mean, when you sit at a holiday table that's not yours and you see different dishes, you feel like, I always felt like, oh my gosh, this is not Thanksgiving. These are not the foods we've always made. But then when I went to be gluten-free, when I started being gluten-free, it was the same thing. I'm sitting at my own parents' table and thinking, I can't eat any of this. Boo-hoo to me, right? And I kind of got stuck there. But then we turned it around and we took I took all of my parents' holiday recipes and we changed them all to be gluten-free. So I'm not missing my mom's creamed onions anymore. And I'm not missing my dad's stuffing that he made every year at the holidays. So we have those. So we're continuing the tradition. You don't have to give it all up, right? Oh my gosh, I'll never have my grandma's cookies again. Yes, make them gluten-free. There is a way, my friend. There is. And you can do it. If we did it, you can do it. So, I mean, it's out there, right? So 5 steps that you need in place, knowing what is gluten. Very important to know what you cannot have so you can see all the possibilities of what you can have. Testing. Yep, you need to have your testing in order prior to going gluten-free. And that's really important if you need to have anything documented. If you're okay with just knowing that you're great and you feel fabulous being gluten-free, then that's okay. But if you need to have those diagnoses of celiac disease or gluten intolerance or which way you're going, then get your testing before you are fully gluten-free. Going to real whole foods and incorporating more of that over the processed foods is going to bring you more health. Now, don't get me wrong. If you've grown up with all processed foods and you think, oh my gosh, I can't just do all this at once. Well, start in that processed food aisle, but then pull yourself out of there. That's what I do with clients who come to me who have eaten out all the time and eaten just processed foods their whole lives. That's how some people live, and that is okay. That's all that they know. Start there and then pull yourself out of that and start incorporating more fruits and vegetables and more whole foods. And I'm going to tell you, when you do that, you're going to really feel a whole lot better. And you're going to see the difference as you move forward, okay? Finding your right support, super important. Thank you for being here and asking for that support, and ask your questions so we can continue to support you. But you have support. Bring your family along, bring your friends, your close friends along so that they can support you. We can't really expect our friends and family to understand what we're trying to go through when we don't know what we're going through, right? So bring them along, teach them as you're learning how to be gluten-free, and find those support groups in your area or online right here. And last but not least, gluten-free is not living in deprivation. Find your favorite foods, find them gluten-free, make dishes. You know, gluten-free is not bleh. I tell people, oh, this is gluten-free. And I say, ooh, no, thank you. You know, hello, taste it before you give me that answer, right? Gluten-free can be easy and delicious. We eat gluten-free, of course, every single day. We have for 12 years at our house, and everyone who eats here loves the food that we serve. And you can have that too. I mean, everybody can make delicious gluten-free food. It doesn't mean it's awful. 12 years ago, it wasn't so fabulous, my friends. You'd buy something and buy a cookie or whatever, and it was like cardboard. That is not really the case. There are so many more things out there now, and you can just get in your kitchen and really dive in and cook, which is one of my favorite things to do with clients, is getting in their kitchen, whether it's in person or over Zoom. We get in the kitchen and I teach them some really great strategies to incorporate and make some easy and delicious gluten-free meals and treats and all kinds of fun things so that you can move forward without deprivation, because you really don't have to be deprived. If you're deprived still in your gluten-free life, that's your mindset. You're telling yourself you're deprived because there's no reason to be deprived. Once you find how to cook, once you learn how to find what you need, there's no deprivation. You really can get over a lot of what you think you're missing, okay? So always good ways to do that. So what is gluten? Testing, whole foods, support, and we're not going to live in deprivation. And these are 5 things to just get into place and to really dive into so that you can really create a gluten-free life you love. But I also have for you my gluten-free starter guide. And if you haven't grabbed that, that's going to give you 5 more steps to incorporate to move forward in your gluten-free life so that you can create a gluten-free life that is sustainable and delicious, because that is what we all deserve. All right, friends, I hope this helped. Please let me know your questions and your comments below, and continue to enjoy the Gluten-Free Summit. And we will see you next time. Until then, have a delicious gluten-free day.